Alright, y'all. Um, Different intro today, man. This video is scripted, bruh.
What? The fuck are you talking about? The fuck are you talking about?
Semi-scripted. Semi-scripted a little bit. I wanted to do this video. Well, actually, hold on. That doesn't change the other part. These are the conversations I have with my homies, have conversations I have with myself, just getting ideas, thoughts, concepts, shit like that, just getting those things out up in the air. This one, podcast style, best way, especially this one, since there's not much reference to draw from, it's really going to be nothing on the screen for real. It's really just going to be listening to the ideas and shit like that. So it's really just going to be, let me put the client back, just a little better. Yeah, it's, just enjoying the conversation. It's really going to be having to visualize a lot of this shit in your mind, the same way I had to when I was thinking of this, man. And it's today, I want a Street Fighter anime, man. Now, before we get into the video, every time I got something dope to show off. So y'all saw this if you watched my top 5 games video. Definitely check that shit out. Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition. And my top 5 games ever. This is actually number 2. And they don't make it like this no more, man. Look at this back cover, man. This art, this is just beautiful. It's beautiful. So, actually, I have some other things to show too. That, get up a little bit. You see I'm rocking the shirt, the Ken and Ryu joint. Hold on. Let me see if I can get more of this in frame. You feel me? For anyone who's a hip-hop head and shit like that, you see this is like Mob Deep, this is, Havoc, he be Prodigy right here. You feel me? So shout out to, I don't even know if these are in stock anymore, but Super Rare is where I got them joints from. That shit is fire. And lastly, if you don't know, which y'all should know on here, I make music. That's my main thing. This is a side hobby. So at the end of one of my songs on my instrumental tape, Soul Felt, I put the scene where Ken is meditating and he hears Goken's voice in the Street Fighter 2 movie. I put that in there. So I'm going to put that whole clip up here real quick. Timestamp right here for when we get back to the conversation. Timestamps in the description as always, but I just want to share that with y'all.
Focus the mind. Cleanse the soul. Keep sight of my target. Concentrate. Focus. Don't lose it now. Be prepared for the unexpected. Concentrate. Mind and body as one. Achieve tranquility through movement. Integrate spirit and flesh. Channel the powers. Focus the mind. Cleanse the soul. Release that which is negative.
Separate darkness and light.
Mind and body as one.
Give birth to yourself.
Oneness through knowledge.
Define your
Oneness
existence.
through emotions.
Create your divination.
Oneness with the heavens.
From
strength,
learn gentleness. Through gentleness, strength will prevail. What do you see beyond your fist?
Yeah, and you'll also probably see that somewhere. Hear it somewhere in the background in this video. All the music you hear in the background during this and all my other videos is my music. It's stuff that I made. Me or my homie Black Panera made. So yeah, but all right. I've wanted to make this video for months, almost a year now. If y'all go to the bottom of my YouTube, there's this joint called, it's these two ones where the camera's vertical, because I was making these. This was just going to be TikTok and Instagram short reels content, until I realized how much detail I talk and how much I yap. So like, that's not gonna work. So, but one of those was things I want to see more, and it was animated series because of X-Men 97 and how it directly continued from something, but they aged it up to where niggas are actually dying. Wolverine got blood on the claws. They going into the racist overtones, the love triangles, all this other shit. Everything except for excessive violence and nudity, which we don't actually, isn't necessary. We don't need it. We just need stakes to feel the weight of situations. That's what I want with this. Now with Street Fighter, anime actually does make sense, considering this is kind of a Japanese thing, like Ryu and these motherfuckers, are Japanese characters. But I really just mean adult animation, a la X-Men 97, Invincible, things like that, where it's like, okay, niggas can get knocked off. Okay, there's stakes. Okay, there's weight to this. Now, there's 2 ways you can do this in my mind. One of them is the X-Men 97 route of continuing from something that was already made. You can continue from the Street Fighter 2 movie, which I think does a good job of highlighting things that were already established and leaves room for other things. Or you can do what I'm gonna do in this video, which is start from scratch. Now, mind you, I'm going to be regurgitating a lot of information from, I put the guy's videos up here. I can never remember his name on YouTube, but he does the insane lore of, he did of Tekken, Mortal Kombat, and one of Street Fighter, and it was one of my favorite videos I used to watch it all the time when I was doing my hair and shit, just listen to it in the background a few times. So he actually went into all the different data, the reference points, character logs, websites and shit, to where he can tell you this information in its chronological order and in better detail than I can. And there's gonna be some things in here I skip over, like Guile, that secret society, the guy with the top hat, I think his name is G. I'm leaving that out. This is gonna be a lot of the main characters, you know, the legacy characters, really is what I'm dealing with. But if you want a more comprehensive breakdown on some shit, watch this video. But what I'm gonna do is start from scratch. But before that, I'm going to give y'all a very quick, this should not take more than 5 to 10 minutes, a very quick synopsis of just the overall story of Street Fighter and what we're dealing with and what the source material is, and then what I would do with it. Because I think the great thing about Street Fighter and why this needs to animate more to Mortal Kombat is because Mortal Kombat actually has story mode where you know some of what's happening, the premise. Of course, you can take liberties, but you know, you kind of know what it should be. With Street Fighter, we have kind of character personalities, and of course, apparently there is an overall story because the dude broke it down, but it's so unknown and it's so convoluted. Like, for instance, there's multiple endings. So like is it Third Strike or Street Fighter 2 Alpha? I don't remember which one. But you know the game, the famous clip where Bison beats Ryu and then Akuma comes out the cut like Roman Reigns delivering a spear and hits him with the Raging Demon? Well, that's the ending where apparently Akuma killed Bison. But if you go through that story mode and beat him with Dowsum, you get the Dowsum ending where it's like, oh, Dowsum beat him and got money for his village or some shit. Then you have the ones where Ryu beat him. You have, you know what I'm saying? So there's not an actual set one. It's different timelines depending on who you win the arcade mode with. So you can take pieces from each of these and put together a cohesive story, which is what I'm going to do. But first, this is, all right, real quick. So this is the story of Street Fighter. Essentially, all it is that there was these, I always forget, I always forget to research it, but there was these two dudes, you know, Goken and Akuma. I forgot what Akuma's name was before he changed to Akuma, but they trained under their master. They learned the style that they use for the Shoryukens, Hadokens, and everything. I think it translates to the Assassin's Fist. And there's a light side and a dark side to it, and the dark side is called the Sasui no Hado. Akuma learned about the dark side of it, abandoned, him and Goken are brothers, abandoned Goken and his master, went on his own way, learned about it, came back, hit the master with the Raging Demon, killed him, and then left his brother and just went on his own path. That same brother, Goken, when he got older, he trained two fighters named Ken and Ryu. Alright, now, Ken comes from an affluent family. He's American, but he just has this fiery spirit, competitive spirit. He wants to be better. So him and Ryu actually got along quite well. They both learned the fighting style and, you know, all that shit. Then, on the other side, you have the main story that's going on is you have Sagat. Well, no, this is someone else. We have Sagat. Sagat was undefeated for a long time. He is the champion of Thailand, 100-something. They called him like Sagat the Invincible or whatever. He lost his eye in a fight by Go Hibiki, which is Dan Hibiki's father, and he killed him in the ring because of it. So that's why Sagat has the eye patch. So then our main course, we have Bison. Bison runs a criminal organization called Shadaloo. Shadaloo just does everything, you know, like illegal experimentation, trafficking, drug trafficking, murder, espionage, extortion, everything, you name it. Bison uses something called psycho power. Psycho power is just like this dark energy, but what it does is over time it corrupts one's soul, and then their body starts to break down. So Bison is looking for a new host body to put his consciousness and his soul into once his body breaks down eventually. It's not about to happen. It's not like he's on the verge of dying, but he knows this, you know, going to come, especially with the amount of psycho power he's using.
I'm sorry. Please, just wait a little while longer, Lord Bison. This next body will be even more powerful. It will be able to handle the full extent of your psycho power.
Get me out now! I don't care what body I have to use. Anything to It's only a matter of time before I make his body my permanent home anyway.
Yes, sir. You heard.
So he has two people, Vega and Balrog. Those are two people that he has with him. All right, Vega. One of the reasons I wanted to make this video is because I was like, Vega is a anime villain all the way. Vega came from a family. I think the dude in the video said of aristocrats, where essentially his mother was married to a very, very rich and powerful man. The man was a good-looking, handsome man, treated the mom and the son right, the son being Vega. Then I don't remember if the father died or if he lost his riches or whatever, but all I know is Vega's mom had to remarry to keep her social status. She remarried another rich man, but he was an ugly man, and he used to beat on Vega's wife and shit, Vega's mom, and I think he eventually killed Vega's mom. And so Vega literally associates beauty with good, and anything ugly needs to be eliminated and snuffed out. That's insane. Then you have Balrog. Balrog was just a fighter, was a dirty fighter. All he wanted was money. Got kicked out of the fighting arena, and now he's with Shadaloo just to make some bread. So that's his crew essentially. All right. So that's Bison's like just little crew, his little posse. He just goes around doing wild shit, like I said, and he gets the attention of two people, of Guile and Chun Li. Now he got Chun Li's attention because Bison. He fucked up something with everybody. Bison killed Chun Li's father. That's where you get the famous clip where he's like, I killed my father. You don't hear me whining about it. That shit's hilarious.
Monster! You killed my...
Yes, I killed your father. What is it with you women anyway? I killed my father too, and you don't hear me whining about it.
But, so Chun Li, she grew up, got strong, became the strongest female fighter, and she became a cop for the sole intention of hunting down Bison. Guile's a military man, also a cop, and Bison, basically, Guile and his partner, Charlie, I think his first name is Charlie, but I know his last name is Nash. I think it's Charlie Nash. They hunted down Bison, they had a helicopter, like, with guns pointed at him, and Bison was like, he said some smug shit, and then Guile and Nash got shot at by their own helicopters. So, like, the Shadaloo corruption, like, he got men inside the government doing work for him, essentially. So they got double-crossed by their own mans. Guile dodged it, Nash got hit, and he fell down the Grand Canyon, presumed dead. So now Guile has the even deeper hatred towards Bison and wants to hunt him down and track him down. Eventually, Guile and Chun Li end up on the same case. They're both trying to hunt down Bison. That's essentially what's going on. Now, moving over to the side, there is a Street Fighter tournament. I think it's a Street Fighter tournament, or it might have been a random encounter. I don't know. But Sagat ends up fighting Ryu, and neither one of them know who each other are. Sagat essentially beats Ryu. He has him on the ropes. Then Ryu gets possessed by like this dark energy he's never felt before, and he hits Sagat with the meanest Shoryuken from like the chest up through the chin. And that's why Sagat has a giant scar on his chest. Ryu gave him that. I don't know how you uppercut a nigga through his skin, but he did it. And then Sagat took his first ever loss. Not to mention, Sagat had a protege named Adon, and Adon only respects strength and power. So when Sagat lost, he essentially lost a lot of respect for him. So yeah, so Sagat, after that loss and the way it happened, he wants to track down Ryu just to get his honor, essentially to run his ones again. Now Bison saw this happen, and he saw Ryu take this dark energy and not fold, essentially, and be able to harness it and then keep it at bay. And it seemed strikingly similar to the Psycho Power. So when Bison saw that, he was like, that's the one. That's who I need. So essentially, it's this wild goose chase of everyone trying to catch Bison because he did some heinous shit, and then Bison trying to catch Ryu because he wants to get to Ryu. That's essentially what the Street Fighter 2 movie is. It just bounces around for a lot of shit. Like, it starts off with the Ryu and Sagat fight, which is actually a rematch. You see Sagat already has the scar. He's trying to fight Ryu and shit. That's actually their rematch. The Ryu wins. But we just kind of throwing into these people are hunting Ryu and shit like that. We don't know why. He's on the run. Something's going on up in his mind. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what that movie was about, and that's why Bison was after Ryu. So yeah, so that's really the overarching story of it. Now some other cool details. Gin, the guy with the wrinkly face and shit that looks like Pai Mei, he looked after Chun Li when she was a kid and her father died.
Your daughter has grown into a strong and admirable woman. I've tried to watch over her from the shadows, but I don't have much more time.
Again. This time, I'll get you to talk.
Come, child. You want to face me? Seeing as who your father is, I won't hold back.
He's known as the man of 1,000 bloody battles. He only wants to, I think, die in combat, essentially, is what he's hanging on for. Akuma, he doesn't want world domination or anything. He just wants a worthy opponent. He's fixated on Ryu because Ryu is Goken's best student, and he managed to keep the Sasui no Hado at bay. Akuma just wants him to give into it because he thinks that will be the most worthy opponent. He just wants a worthy opponent to fight. Like, Akuma will actually fight people, and if he thinks that they can get stronger in the future and become a better fighter, he won't kill you. He'll be like, yo, you have potential. So that's his thing. He just in there for the love of the game. He just want to fight. Blanka was a kid named Jimmy, and he was in a plane, essentially. And Bison, it was on Shadaloo's shit list that was on that plane. And instead of just getting that one person, he just shot the whole fucking plane down. So Jimmy landed in, like, the Amazon rainforest or some shit, and he mutated into what he was. He turned into Blanka. He got his electric powers from, like, training with eels or some wild shit like that. So that's what Blanka is. So he's not aware of what Bison did, but he also has a reason to have a vendetta against him.
Jimmy!
Mama, what are you doing here?
Oh, Jimmy. I just love spending time with you.
I'm telling y'all this for a reason, because it's going to play into my story. And then Cammy, the Capra, and some other characters. They are test tube babies for Bison, where essentially candidates for him. If all else fails, that's what he would put his consciousness into. So they're not robots per se. I think they're actually from, like, organic human matter, but they're like, you know, almost like the clones in the Clone Wars, kind of like that, right? So she's like a sleeper agent essentially, but she was just the best one. So that's what Cammy is too. And is there anybody else I want to mention before I get to it? But nah, that's really like the overarching story for real. Bison fucking with everybody, and even T-Hawk, like, Bison ransacked his village. He either killed his wife and kidnapped T-Hawk's daughter, or killed T-Hawk's daughter and kidnapped his wife. One or the other. Either one's bad. But I think that's where the famous clip comes from the Street Fighter movie, where he's like, the day that Bison graced your village was the most impactful day in your history, but for me, it was Tuesday, you know, so.
I'm sorry. I don't remember any of it.
You don't remember?
For you, the day Bison graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday.
Yeah, so it's just Bison fucking with everybody, Ryu trying to learn himself and everything like that, Ken being Ken, all this other shit, and yeah, everything else is finite details that I can cover in my own story. So that's the very, very condensed version of the main line story of Street Fighter. So this is what I would do. Now also, like I said, there's two ways you can do this. You can pick up from the Street Fighter 2 movie, or you can start from scratch. I'm going to start from scratch. So I'm going to retell some of the stuff I just told you, but I'm going to tell you how I would format it and make it into a show. So first things first, I can tell y'all what I would do for about the first 2 seasons, and then everything else that will come down the line, but not how I would order it. So season 1. In season 1, I want backstory episodes for most of these characters. So where I would start, I want them to, I would honestly start with Ken. I want them to start with showing Ken, like, you know, just showing, but let me turn my TV down, showing potential as a fighter, but still getting into trouble, being a knucklehead and shit like that, and then getting sent off to Goken for whatever reason, however they found him, it don't matter, but kind of sending himself off to Goken to learn more skills, and then Ryu already being there. Now they're 2 different people, very, and this is something else that's dope about Street Fighter. What separates Street Fighter from every other fighting thing is everyone's personality drives their fighting style so dearly. So Ryu, he can do the Mestu Hadoken. Ken doesn't have that move, right? Ryu's Hadokens are stronger because his personality, he's so like disciplined and headstrong and like focused to where that's like chi energy, like building up energy. His Hadokens are unmatched. Ken has the fire Shoryuken, the fire Tatsu, because he has literally a fiery personality. He's hot-headed. That's how he acts. So it kind of just plays into his personality. That's how he's like. So, of course, any casual viewer knows that those two are best friends, but this gets us invested in the friendship. Maybe start from when they're like teenagers. They don't have to be little kids, right? So we get to see them fighting, or to see them training and build up their friendship. In those episodes, I want multiple episodes of them training. Everyone else probably gonna get like one episode of backstory. But the reason why I want them to have multiple episodes is because I want Goken to be training them and overseeing it. And I want, as Goken's training them and we're getting their backstory, I want him to see the similarities between Ryu and Ken, and then him and Akuma. So I can already see a transition of like Ryu and Ken next to each other doing like a Shoryuken at the same time. And as they're in the air, maybe Goken like blinks, and then when his eyes open back up, it flashes to him and Akuma in that same, doing the same thing, doing a Shoryuken midair. And then we get those bits and pieces of what I said before of their backstory through the different things that Ken and Ryu are doing similarly. So not only do we get two backstories in one, we also get Akuma built up as this insane level threat because he killed their master easily. This insane level threat that might come back later, or that we just are just interested in. So I don't want Akuma in season 1 at all until the end, but at all for like majority of this. I want him to be like this final boss feeling thing, even though he's not the main villain. The main villain is gonna be Bison. So that's gonna be Ken and Ryu's thing. The next thing I want, and so that's what we're starting with. Everything else, for the most part, with these like different things I'm gonna say, don't need to be in a specific order, but I might try to organize them as we go. After that, I want Sagat, and this is why I feel like I want to see young Sagat ripping through Thailand, just killing, like, from a kid, teenager, young adult, and however old he is now. I want to see him going undefeated and beating everyone in his path and getting even better and more ruthless, you know, and just unlocking new moves. Eventually, like, from it just being straight, what the fuck is his fighting style? Like, it going from straight Muay Thai to him learning how to do tiger shots, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe he learns the tiger shot from Ryu later on. Maybe we can do that. Maybe I'll figure it out. But that's really what I want to see. And then I want to see him, and he has a protege named Adon. I want to see him and then Adon learn from him as well. And then somewhere down this line, I want to see the fight where Dan Hibiki, his dad, Go Hibiki, I want to see the fight where he takes out Sagat's eye out of desperation, and then Sagat kills him in the ring to show that he can go ruthless. Right? Now, to most people, they would have no idea. A lot of people probably don't even know who Dan fucking is. But even the ones who know are not aware of the fact that his dad killed Sagat. I was like, that Sagat killed his dad, or that Dan has like this actual revenge arc towards Sagat. So, and that's part of why he believes he's a good fighter. So I would say, show Sagat killed a man, and then pan the camera to this kid, just like who seems the most shocked and hurt about it. And then we find out that was Go Hibiki's son. But don't call him Dan. Don't tell anybody this is Dan. Just keep it under wraps. Just have in the back of our mind that this kid witnessed his dad get murdered by Sagat. All right? So we just have that just to build him up and make him seem like this incredible, almost unbeatable fighter. Show Adon learning from him and Adon's values of strength over everything. And then show him kill Dan's father. That's already multiple different things, you know, multiple, and also show his morals and his way of life and how beloved he is in Thailand. Just that just sets up so many different things for the story and for his character. Now the next thing I want Shadaloo episodes. I want episodes of Shadaloo going around fucking shit up. One of those episodes will be Bison shooting down the plane that Blanka's in. But just like we did with Dan, don't say it's Blanka. Just zero in on this kid named Jimmy on the plane. And at first, it's just to pull at heartstrings. Oh my God, they killed the kid and everyone else. He didn't care about it. But now we know that this kid named Jimmy was on a plane and he existed. So we'll bring Blanka back later on, and we won't even follow his journey. I want him just to pop up and it'd be unexpected. And then I want the shock to be that Blanka is Jimmy, and not the shock to be Jimmy turning into Blanka, if that makes sense. You feel me? Oh, almost like how they did in X-Men 97. If you did not know that Nathan Summers was Cable, then you would have had no idea. You know what I'm saying? So I want it to be like that. He just shows up, and then we find out it's him later. So yeah, that's gonna be one of the things we see in the Shadaloo episodes. Where obviously we're gonna see when they kill Charlie Nash to build up Guile's hatred, right? And I don't want them to show us him killing Chun Li's father. I'll tell you what I want for that. The other thing I do want to see in one of those episodes. One of those episodes, I want to see him ransack T-Hawk's village and kill all of his people. I want to see that too, so that we build up T-Hawk having a vendetta against him. And actually, I'll tell you exactly how we'll get that, but I'll tell you that later. Now, these different Shadaloo episodes, I want these to be spread out. These are not consecutive. And one of the reasons why is because A, it just builds up Bison as this vile person that we need to take down. B, it builds up why everyone has a vendetta against him. And C, it can be our way to... Alright, my bad. I had an alarm I forgot about and it went off. But anyway, C, it can be our way to learn about these different characters. So I don't know how long these episodes would be. I probably aimed at 30 to 40 minute mark. I think an hour is probably too long. And maybe it can vary between what's necessary. But let's say I want the different episodes. So let's say like Bison sends Vega on a mission or some shit like that, right? We get to see the fact that he's in this for the thrill of his ideology, him being a sociopath, right? So I think I feel like you can kind of speed through what happened between, his mom in the first marriage, his mom in the second marriage, and how that instilled things in him, right? And that shouldn't take more than 10 minutes, honestly. You can do that pretty quickly, right? It's just like, maybe something that happens on the mission activates that memory or whatever. But show it enough to realize, oh, there's a reason he's like this, but we don't need to spend so long on it to where it's like, oh, we're trying to make you sympathetic for him. Like, nah, this nigga's crazy, But here's what you can do, honestly. What you can do is, remember how I said each character's fighting style mirrors their personality. Vega's outfit with the pants and the loafers and everything, he's a Spaniard and he is a matador. So his fighting style is actually ninjutsu. But since he already is bullfighting and dodging and jumping around and flipping and shit, it already kind of made the ninjutsu kind of come more naturally to him. And then the claw helps him climb up things and be stealthy and shit like that. So we don't need to see him learning ninjutsu. But what we can see, imagine us watching him bullfight, or you can just be a matador, and then he jumps and flips over the bull, and then maybe like the motion he would use like to go down and like grab the bull's horn. Make that like maybe in the middle of that motion, flash to him in an alleyway or something, jumping off a rooftop or some shit, flipping, and that same motion that would grab the bull, that's him slashing with the claw to maybe cut up someone who he deemed ugly, unworthy of living, or whatever. Just to show, okay, this is what he's like. You know what I'm saying? And like, oh, that's how his personality plays into his moves and what he's doing. You feel me? So I think that would be a dope way to do it without having to over-explain it. And then the other part of his personality is he's still a wealthy man, aristocrat by day, and murderer by night is the guy. I think that's exactly what the dude in the video said. But yeah, so you can have him be like that, where maybe in a part of it you show him just mingling with the high society folk, but then by night he's carrying out these, by night he's carrying out the Shadaloo mission that we saw this episode start with, instead of having to go through previous escapades. You know what I'm saying?
Money and power. What an ugly group they are. Good evening. Crashing a man's party is rather tasteless, you know.
With all due apologies, sir, I have a message from him.
It's begun then.
Both the Americans and Interpol are sniffing around here.
So he's here.
So I feel like that would be a dope way to get to know him. And then same thing with Balrog, just, showing why he's obsessed with money. Maybe showing, just him getting kicked out of the league or him using dirty tactics or whatever the fuck. But it's just to highlight the different morals. And the reason why I want that specifically is because when Sagat gets thrown in with them and he's just there trying to track down Ryu for his honor, I want it to show why Sagat would be so uncomfortable amongst these insane people with no honor, morals, or anything. And he like already feels like he doesn't belong. He's in the wrong space. So I feel like that would be a dope thing. And another reason, I want Cammy to be like the Winter Soldier. I want her to be like Bucky, honestly. Whereas like, so Bison just puts her on special missions, almost like an urban legend. Where you know how Natasha was like, most people have never seen him, but the people who have call him the Winter Soldier, but he's just a legend to some people. I want Cammy to be like that, where it's like they don't know her by Cammy, but they know her by Killer Bee. They're like, yo, she just strikes out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying, or some shit like that, you know. So I want her to be like that, just like a sleeper agent. And then over time, we can get, maybe she does a mission where she kills someone who had a family, who had a child or whatever, and we see her conscience slowly kick in, or like some remorse slowly kind of overtake her, so that when she does end up becoming a good guy, it doesn't seem like it's out of fucking nowhere. But those episodes can be spread out between these Ryu and Ken episodes, these Sagat episodes, and whatever the fuck else, you know what I'm saying? You know, and so it can be spread out between all of those different things. All right. Now, somewhere along this line, I want Guile to get paired up with Chun Li. And this is another thing. This can also be a part of the Shadaloo episodes. I want Chun Li and Guile to have this buddy cop thing. But the reason why is because it's going to expand on the world building. I want those two hunting down Shadaloo, but hunting down leads. So maybe as they're walking the streets together, you know, and you see their relationship building, but maybe they're looking for leads and they come across one of DJ's bars or clubs or something like that, right? And then they talk to him, and maybe through him they find out there's a Street Fighter tournament going on. And this is how I would have everything tie in. I would have that Street Fighter tournament be in Japan. And that's why I want Ryu to be a part of it, and that's why I want him and Sagat to fight the first time. But I want DJ to catch wind of it, and they find out about it through him. And I want Balrog to be in the tournament for money, because he thinks it's a money prize. And then that's how Bison's even in that vicinity to see what Ryu does. But that's getting a little ahead of ourselves. But I just want to put that there. But yeah, have them have this little buddy cop thing of tracking down leads, and this is how we build things. Oh, there's someone like maybe DJ disagrees with them, like I don't talk to cops or whatever, and then they fight and they realize how good of a fighter he is, and the little bit of breakdancing and rhythm in his fighting style, we get his personality. Maybe they go to one of Fei Long's movie sets or some shit like that, and then they find him, you know what I'm saying, and different shit like that. So that could also be a thing. And also I want some of these characters to randomly interact. So one of them, I want maybe Ken to be out and just going for a lunch or something like that, and he finds Eliza. Eliza ends up being his wife and his, the mother of his child later on. But she's Guile's sister. So Guile and Ken are stepbrothers for people who don't know. So that's going to be important later. So keep that in the back of your mind as well. But yeah, I want all of those things to be different episodes, and that's really going to be our main cast. Ken and Ryu, Goken training them, Guile and Chun Li, Bison, Vega, Sagat, Balrog. That's really going to be our main thing, and then we meet a few other characters along the way as necessary. And T-Hawk. I want an episode of T-Hawk. And all right, you know what? So now I can actually get to that part. So now getting to the Street Fighter tournament. I want Balrog to be the one. I want Balrog to be the one out of Shadaloo who goes there because he thinks that there's a money prize, and that's what he wants out of it. I want Balrog to beat T-Hawk through dirty tactics, right? And then T-Hawk to kind of chase him down because he has no honor or whatever, and ridicule him or whatever. I want Bison to step in. I want T-Hawk to disrespect Bison, and then that leads to Bison vindictively fucking with T-Hawk's village. And then doing what he does, just out of spite. You feel me? So I that's how I want him to end up fucking with T-Hawk. So that's number one. Also during this tournament, I don't care who Balrog loses to. So from there, that's the main thing during this tournament. I don't want Ken in this tournament. I want, when him and Ryu go their separate ways from Goken, I want Ryu to enlist in the Street Fighter tournament to test his abilities and, and everything. And I want Ken to return to America to try to become the American fighting champ. That's what I want. Because that's his title, is the American champion. I want Ken to go there and try to obtain that title. So those two to separate for the first time. Right? So I want that to happen. So then, through whatever means, whatever bracket this tournament ends up being in, I want That's when I want Sagat to essentially beat Ryu. And that's why I said the Sasuke no Hado comes over Ryu. He Shoryukens him through the chest. Bison sees, hey, this is what I want. And Bison has some slick line like, okay, Balrog, maybe your greed paid off once after all. We have our new target. You just go get him, right? So maybe it's the finals and Ryu. Maybe it's the finals or not, but whatever. After that happens, I want Ryu to be so freaked out by what happens, he walks away, doesn't receive a cash prize. Maybe he forfeits if there was another fight, and he just kind of walks away from the shit, right? Now, let's say from tracking Balrog here, Guile and Chun Li get wind that they're looking for some guy named Ryu, but they don't know what he looks like. Imagine, this is why I say it's out of order. Imagine we get the Shadaloo episode. So maybe the episode after that is when he goes and raids T-Hawk's village or whatever. And half that episode is Guile and Chun Li tracking them down. Imagine they just walking down the street and then Ryu's just like walking with his head down, just, in his own head. And he just shoulder checks the fuck out of Guile. And Guile's like, hey, watch it, bro. What's your problem? But they don't even know that that's the dude that they're going to be looking for or some shit like that, right? So stay with me. I want to have that happen, and then now it's just this wild goose chase for him. So Sagat, I want Bison to use Sagat as a means to chase down Ryu. And like I said before, now that we established how crazy these other members of Shadaloo are, I want Sagat to feel almost immediately uncomfortable with what's happening. Right now, after I would say after a little while of them just tracking each other, I want Ken and Eliza to be on a date. I think that's her name, right? Eliza? I'm pretty sure. I hope I'm not getting it wrong. I'll correct myself somewhere in here if I did. But Ken and Guile's sister on a date, right? And I want Guile to go and visit Eliza, essentially, and tell her, you just check on her or whatever. Be like, who's this guy? Ken introduces himself or whatever. He's just a cool dude. And I want Guile to be like, yeah, we got a new lead on Bison. It's not much, but we know he's tracking some guy named Ryu. And then Ken is like, Ryu? Who is he and what does he want with Ryu? And Guy was like, you know him? He's like, yeah, it's my best friend. What does he want with Ryu? And all this other shit. Because, like I said, in Street Fighter 2, everyone's hunting down Bison. Bison's hunting down Ryu. And then Ken gets to him because he realizes Ryu's in danger, right? So this can be how Ken finds out that Ryu's in danger, essentially. So now Ryu's with Guile and Chun Li trying to chase him down. Somewhere along the line of this, you know how I said I don't want Chun Li's backstory in an episode? I want, as their relationship's developing between Guile and Chun Li, I want Guile to ask Chun Li, I want to be like, well, I told you what happened to Nash, so you know why I want to get Bison, but why is this so personal for you? And she doesn't tell him, but I want us to get a little mini flashback of Bison killing her father and maybe a little bit of Gen taking care of her and training her. And she's like, maybe I'll tell you later on, but she never opens up to him yet. You feel me? So I want that to be also a thing, building up their friendship, Because when I say relationship, I don't mean friendship. I don't, maybe, fuck it, if the chemistry's there, maybe ship them if it's a thing. But that's not on my mind right now at all, So yeah, so from there, we have all this different shit lined up. And now we're just essentially tracking down Ryu. I want Bison and Shadaloo to find Ryu first. And I want Bison to tell Sagat, it's your time to go prove your allegiance. Go and get Ryu. Sagat goes down there to get Ryu. And Ryu's still battling with the Sasuke no Hado. Sagat fights him. And he's like, Ryu, this isn't you. What's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're holding back. Something's wrong with you. And essentially, during that moment, Ryu beats Sagat once again because of the Sasuke no Hado. And now Sagat's taking his second loss. Right? And then Ryu gets away, and Sagat goes back to Bison, and Bison's like, I don't give a fuck about your honor or your petty squabbles, my nigga. I told you to go get him. I don't care about none of this other.
Remember, you are a Shadow Law warrior now, Sagat. Put these commonplace thoughts aside.
But sir, we're talking about fighter's pride and my reputation here.
Fighter's pride, how dull. The world is now your arena, not the street.
My lord, please! Sagat!
I'm losing patience. My authority is absolute, and I won't tolerate questioning. I hope...
Because he sees Sagat as an asset, because he's clearly a better fighter than Vega or Balrog. So that's really why he has him there. So I think at this moment is when it sinks into Sagat. Not only is he on the wrong path in general, but he's 100% with the wrong people right now. So now, once again, the chase is back on for it. And now, through whatever obstacles, whatever happens in between that space, I want the team of Guile, Chun Li, and Ken to get to Ryu at the same time as Bison and Vega. It's Bison, Vega, and Balrog now. So now, essentially, they're all closing in on him. And let's say maybe they're closing in on Ryu while he's meditating but still losing his mind, just trying to figure shit out. I would say give me Balrog and Vega versus Chun Li and Guile. And maybe it's a good fight, maybe one of the others winning or whatever. Then I want Ken to kind of swoop in and turn the tides and beat both of them. I want him to beat both of them, or maybe just a 3-on-2 is too much for them. But Vega and Balrog are now out, and now Ken is on his way to Ryu, right? And then next up, I want the next thing to be straight out of Street Fighter 2 when Bison beat Guile's ass and there was nothing he could do. So I want Guile to be like, this is pointless, I need a distraction. Send in Killer B. I want him to send Cammy after Ryu so that she can keep him there. And then I want Bison, I'll deal with these insects myself. And then he goes to fight. No, I want him to try to send Sagat, and Sagat says, no, I'm not attacking this man while he's down. And then Bison's like, I'll deal with you after I deal with them. Then he sends Cammy after Ryu to keep him distracted. And he goes and deals with Guile and Chun Li himself. And I want Bison just to show them how outclassed they are. And I want Bison to just 2v1 the fuck out of Chun Li and Guile and beat them. But while that's happening, I want him, when Cammy gets sent to Ryu, I don't even want Ryu to be possessed by the Sasuke no Hado yet. I want him to be calm. I want just to show how powerful Ryu is. I want Ryu to damn near one-shot Cammy's ass. I want her to go for like a pile drive smasher, and he just Shoryuken anti-air her goofy ass. just to, and then I want that to further confirm to Bison how strong he is, right? And now it's Ken trying to talk down Ryu and Bison trying to get to Ryu. Now we have that, and now I want this again to be straight out of Street Fighter 2, the movie, straight out of that climax of Ken trying to snap Ryu out of it, and maybe Bison doing damage to Ken is what snaps Ryu out of it. And then, I want Ryu to beat Ken first, and then him seeing Ken in pain and Bison laughing snaps him out of it, and then they 2v1 Bison and they beat him. Beat him doesn't mean knock him out or kill him, but maybe Bison's like, this is not worth it, and he leaves and goes off somewhere. That's our season 1. So that's our season 1 right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to overview it because this video is going to be an hour long if I do. Restart it if you need to. Well, I'll try to no, I'm not going to. I'll overview the whole thing at the end maybe. So that's essentially our season 1 and where it's going to leave off. Well, no. One more thing. This is the end of our season 1. After that happens and everything's cool, everyone knows what's going on, everyone's caught up to speed on shit, Ryu decides to walk. Oh, I want that to be when Ken gives Ryu the because for people who don't know, Ryu's famous like this, like his red headband. That's not a headband. That was Ken's armband, and he gave it to Ryu like as a reminder of whenever he's feeling down or doubting himself. I want that to be when Ken gives Ryu the armband he uses as a headband, and then they go their separate ways. Ryu, does this nomad thing, walking around trying to find himself. And I want Ken to return to Goken to tell him what happened and tell him that he won and he's an American champion now. And he met a girl named Eliza. And as Ken gets there, he sees Akuma kill Goken. I want Akuma's first appearance in this show to be killing Goken, to show once again how powerful this man is and how ruthless he is. But I don't want him just to show up and just see the fight. I want it to be an insane fucking battle. Like, I want it to be like, just when you thought, oh, this big climax with Bison was that, man, you ain't seen shit. I want this to be something crazy. A crazy Akuma versus Goken fight. Oh, now, I forgot to mention this before. The same way they have the Raging Demon with the Sasuke no Hado, on the light side, they have the power of nothingness. It's like the ultimate enlightenment. And one of the things you get from it is Goken had the ability, you can temporarily remove your soul from your body. So when he got killed by Akuma, his soul left his body, but he was just in a state of stasis, and he revives later because of it. So for people who don't know, that's how he's alive and shit in Street Fighter 4.
He has awakened.
This feeling, there's no mistaking it. He has awakened. You've sealed off his power. How dare you? Raging demon! The power of nothingness. Interesting. Let this be a fight to the death. The winner.
So, yeah. But we don't know that. We don't. The viewer doesn't know that. They think this nigga's just dead and Akuma just fucked him up. So I want that to be the end of season 1, essentially. Now, season 2, I want this to be all about fighting. So the first thing, right? Sagat's now 0-2. He's having an existential crisis, doubting himself, everything he stands for, his morals, and the fact that he lost and his strength. Adon only, like I said, he only respects strength. So he doesn't respect Sagat anymore because he's not unbeaten. And this actually happens. Sagat goes back, he fights Adon, and Adon beats him. Now Sagat has had 3 losses. So he's now lost to his protege. So I want that to be how we open up with season 2. And then after that, I want the next Street Fighter tournament. I want the next Street Fighter tournament to be orchestrated by Bison. And the reason why is because Bison came across Ryu from a Street Fighter tournament. So since he couldn't get Ryu, in his mind, he's like, he can maybe draw out Ryu with this tournament or find another candidate who might be strong enough to transfer his soul into. So the last tournament was a small bracket, you know how I said before. This one, I want Bison to market it worldwide, and now we meet different characters. So for the characters who don't have that much depth or that much in the storyline, give them half and half episodes where they mirror each other. So Zangief and E Honda. Zangief just wants to prove that strength and muscles are superior over everything. And then E Honda wants to prove essentially that sumo style is the best fighting style. Give me a half and half episode of both of them training some of their fights and their ideology to show how similar they are, but also the contrast of like their personalities, beliefs, and of their fighting styles. So now we're building up, and now I'm excited to see, oh shit, both of them in the tournament. How are they going to fight each other? How are they going to collide? Now I have this built up anticipation to see them fight each other, right? So you have that. And then other characters, maybe Relento. Relento, he's like this military guy who wants to build like this ultimate army of just like clones of himself or something like that. And maybe he sees this, because I want on the marketing for the tournament to be, a prove your worth, prove the strength of your style, your, you know what I'm saying, your soul, whatever, just something to bring people out. So I wanted to reach them. I wanted to reach Fei Long, bring Fei Long back. And also I wanted to have a huge cash reward. So another half and half episode is going to be Dowsum and T-Hawk, because they both live in villages. Dowsum's a pacifist, and he only wants to go in the Street Fighter tournament to get money for his village to help them like with their hunger and, you know, different illnesses and shit like that. But also, the reason why I wanted T-Hawk in season 1 and for Bison to fuck up his village is because I want them to show us T-Hawk and show us why the fuck he's not a pacifist. Because of the hatred, the anger he has because of what Bison did. And maybe that gives us an excitement, oh shit, what if their ideologies collide? You know what I'm saying? Mixed in with the other characters we want to see them fight. So you can have that for them. And then other characters too. Maybe Dudley. Dudley for the cash reward. You know what I'm saying? Or just to test his fighting style. Maybe Ibuki. She sees it as a good bit of fun. Makoto. You know what I'm saying? Just these different characters who just want to fight. Who really just want to fight. You know what I'm saying? And then just show them, give them half and half episodes, you know, of like, you know, comparing the ones whose fighting style is similar. I kind of want to throw Guy in here. Because Guy is like that. Guy is like that. Guy and Cody. Cody is like that too, but I have an idea for him. The only thing I can't think of is, do I want Ryu in this tournament, or do I want Ryu in this season 2 going around still trying to find himself? Now, here's my 2 options, and y'all let me know. If Ryu's not in this tournament and he's going around trying to find himself, I want him going to I forgot the name of the city, but the city that Mike Hagar is the mayor in. Maybe he ends up there and he helps him out with those different street gangs and shit like that. And then that's when he meets Guy and them having similar ideologies. And then maybe Guy helps him find his way. We can have that, him just finding new people and new friends. Because Ryu's whole thing, he really thinks the best way to communicate is fighting, is through one's fist. That's the best way to get to know people. His literal quote in Street Fighter 4 is, "The answer lies in the heart of battle." You know what I'm saying? So maybe he finds them through that. So that could be a thing. Or we can have him in the tournament, and then maybe he's 1-0 against Ken now. Maybe Ken beats him in this one. Because the thing I love about Street Fighter, I don't like power scaling, y'all. I don't like the idea of character A versus character B. Well, character A beat character C, and character B lost to character C, so character A versus character B, character A must win. I don't like that. You know, like, for context, you go watch my Superman review. I like the fact that he lost fights. The thing is, when we think of, can this person beat this person, we usually think, can they kill them? Can you kill Superman? Most niggas, probably not. But beat him? Probably so. Because, like, if you have strength enough to hurt him, and definitely if you have magic, and if you are a better trained fighter or warrior, that's why Wonder Woman beats him a good amount of times, because she has warrior training and is more skilled and technical, and she can lay some good hits on him. That's why I think Thor versus Superman is 50-50, and even Thor probably wins more so than that. But all I have to say, Ryu is the poster boy and like probably one of the top 5 strongest characters, but Ken has a winning record against him. Same way how Obi-Wan has a winning record against Anakin, you know, shit like that. So I might have Ryu in the tournament and have him lose to Ken, just to build up them having a rivalry, you know, and just different records and shit like that. Now, another reason I want this tournament, y'all, is because you know how in Street Fighter 4, when you play the arcade mode, there's the fight your rival. We can build new rivalries, but also we can give context to why these people are rivals. So, like in Street Fighter 2 in the movie, when Dawson beats E Honda, make that a rivalry. Because he kept teleporting, so E Honda couldn't grab him, and using these long, stretchy arm attacks, and him being so calm versus E Honda getting frustrated, show their rivalry. You know the little voice, not voice lines, but I guess like the little ending game quotes where Zangief's like he hates fireballs? Maybe have Zangief fight Guile, have him fight Ken or Ryu and lose to Hadouken, you know, when he kept on trying to grapple him, and show context to why he hates fireballs. You know what I'm saying? It would just build those different things and this different relationship and shit like that. And even outside the tournament, if they go to fight and stuff like that, you know, just it builds, like, you know, a world building, you know what I'm saying? It gives us something like that. I think that would be super dope. And another person I want in the Street Fighter 2 tournament is 2 people. I want Gin and I want Akuma, but I don't want either one of them. Actually, I don't want either one of them in the tournament, because I want Ken to win this tournament. So I don't want either one of them. Maybe Ken to win this tournament. There's multiple ways this can go, but I want, you know how Street Fighter 2 in the movie, Akuma is just like, he makes a cameo. He's like stalking Ryu or like just watching from a mountain. I forgot where it was, but he made like a little cameo. I want him to learn about Ryu's battle with the Satsui no Hado, and I want him to scout. No. I want him to scout this tournament because he hears about it, because he just wants good fights. I want him to scout this tournament and then just watch from like a mountaintop as people are fighting. I want Gin on the streets watching it up close. And then I want Chun Li in this tournament too. So I want Chun Li and Guile to be in this tournament investigating. This is going to be a much bigger bracket. I damn near want to make a bracket and edit it in here, bro. That should be crazy. That'd be crazy. I might do it. If I do, you'll see it. If not, I got lazy. But I want them here. I want those 2 there investigating. And then I want maybe she sees Gin for the first time, and now she gets to see Gin in action. Because she only saw Gin as the man who held a razor, not Gin, the man of 1,000 bloody battles, who wants to die in battle. So now she gets to see this very, very ruthless and calculated fighter that he is.
My back. You are powerless against me now. I live to fight. Death's embrace is my ultimate destiny.
But maybe I don't want him in the tournament. Maybe I want him trying to train people during the tournament, and maybe someone hot-headed like E Honda or Fei Long or Balrog or just somebody like that challenges him, and he just makes quick work with them and shows them, nah, there's levels to this shit, my nigga. You feel me? So yeah, I want that. Now, before we get to the tournament, well, we kind of went through the tournament, but you know how I said the whole Sagat thing with Adon, right? What I want here is we opened up the season with Sagat losing to Adon. I want that way before the tournament. After that, somewhere in between that is like we get these half and half episodes and different things. This is where I want Dan returning. So I want Sagat maybe doing something akin to what Ryu does. Walking around like a nomad, just trying to find himself, questioning himself and different things, trying out meditating and shit like that. And him asking himself, how does Ryu do it? How do you find inner peace? How did he find the strength? And then I want Dan to come and challenge him. And then as a viewer, if you don't know who this is, they're like, who the fuck is this little nigga? And then Dan being like, you killed my father, go Hibiki. And then as a viewer, you'd be like, oh shit, that's this nigga, right? So if you don't know who Dan is, you'd be like, oh, this nigga's probably nice. If you do know who Dan is, you're like, this nigga's about to get murdered. You feel me? But during that whole time, I want Sagat to have an inner monologue, something akin to this. I would write it way better if I sat down and spent time with it. But I want Sagat to be somewhat like, this fool is no match for me. He's about to lose. He's about to lose everything, consumed by vengeance, consumed by, just consumed by the past, blinded by his own rage and things like that. And he's about to lose everything because of it. Oh shit, he's me. Sagat realizing that his anger and him not fully accepting his loss and what that drove him to, and that drove him to his other loss to Ryu and his loss to Adon, and him not and beyond that, his loss to himself by reducing himself to throwing in with the likes of Bison and doing these unsavory things that's against his morals. And then Sagat actually does, what Sagat does, he throws the fight against Dan and lets Dan get his moral victory. That's what I want Sagat to do. And then Sagat from there finds his inner peace.
Your Shoryuken changed me forever. First, I was racked with anger, humiliation, impatience. All I could think about was growing stronger and exacting my revenge. However, during my countless battles, I began to catch a glimpse of something. The meaning of victory, of defeat, of the fight itself. I want to know. I want to know the ultimate purpose of the fight. My scar burns. I've spent so long thinking only of defeating Ryu, feeling like a loser. But now, I realize that winning is of little consequence. What matters is communicating through one's fists. Maybe this is what I really desired all along.
And then I want Sagat to enter the Street Fighter tournament, and his first fight in the bracket, I want him to fight Adon, and like Goldberg when he squashed Brock Lesnar, I want him to one Tiger destruction this nigga, and then show Adon it's levels to this shit when I'm locked in. That's what I want to happen.
What we have here, if it isn't the former king.
I'm looking for something. Something to reignite my spirit.
That one too!
Tiger! Destruction!
Saga!
And then now we have completed Sagat's arc, and then we can move on with him however we want to. So that if there's any like guaranteed victory, that's a guaranteed victory I want in that tournament. It's Sagat beating the shit out of Adon. So that concludes that entire arc there. And then the rest of it is really just the Street Fighter tournament going on for real. And I want this to be where Chun Li falls in love with fighting and street fighting. Maybe again training her on a higher level than he did when she was a child. And this is where she falls in love with street fighting. Somewhere down this line with Ryu, I think this is where Sakura finds him. And there's a reason for that. I think this is when Sakura finds him. He finds out he has a fan and shit like that. You know, and maybe that goes wherever it goes. Right? Now, also, I forgot to mention this. The only other person I want to stumble across this tournament is Blanka. But at this point, we don't know who Blanka is. We don't know that kid is Jimmy. But it's also going to be so striking because everyone else we've seen so far is human. Now, granted, you know, Dawson has long arms, all this other shit, but they've been human. Now we see this green monster and we don't know what he is. And we see him fight a couple times. Right? So we see that a couple times as well. But what I also want to see here is I want to see Akuma being like, for the people who won their fights, I want Akuma to kind of confront them. And then, you know, like, so the people who had great fights and look strong, I want Akuma to beat them in like 2 seconds. Just to show how strong he is. Like, I want the ones who, and granted, everyone else, like these few matches, they're like squash matches. I want those to be for a hierarchy. Like, I want Akuma to seem like he stands above everyone else. And maybe through these fights and through spectating, this is where he learns about Ryu's battle with the Sasuke no Hado. But I want us to actually see Akuma in action a few times throughout this. Who he fights, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure who he fights during this time, right? But this is where he finds out about Ryu's battle with the Sasuke no Hado. But Ryu's journey throughout this whole time is him finding peace. Now, as far as the actual Street Fighter tournament, I want Ken to win it. But on Bison's side of it, I haven't fleshed that out yet. I don't know what I want to come of that, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out there. So by the end of season 2, essentially though, we've been introduced to a lot of new fighters. We had Sagat complete his arc. We have Dan now thrown in here. We have Sakura thrown in here. We have Ryu achieving inner peace. We've seen Gen be a step above of most fighters. We've seen Akuma be a step above every fighter. And we've seen Ken just continue to progress and progress. And I also want to see his relationship with Eliza progress as well. You feel me? So, and we, you know what I'm saying? So I want to see those different things, right? Also, I think Gen should also help Chun Li kind of deal with the demons of her father leaving, because he helped raise her, but I don't think he ever helped her confront and be at peace with herself, you know. So maybe he helps her do that as well. So we have all that happen. By the end of season 2, I want Akuma to confront Ryu and then try to tell him to give in to Sasuke no Hado. I want Ryu to be like, never, I'll never do that. And I want Akuma to beat his ass. Now, not a squash match. Like I said, the other ones is like, oh, this is nothing. Akuma's just toying with them. And this one, I definitely want it to be shown that Akuma is a step above Ryu. But I do want him, I want the whole thing, the whole point is for Ryu to prove, you know, this fight with Ryu to prove to Akuma that, oh yes, this is the worthy opponent I've been looking for. This is Goken's top heir. So I do want it to be a decent fight, but I do want it to be like, yeah, we can tell Akuma's always in control, and maybe this can be when he just punches a hole through a fucking island or some shit. But at the same time, I do want it to, you know, Ryu to show flashes of being able to get some hits in. You feel me? You know, almost like you know, Brock versus Roman when Seth cashed in. Like, Brock was very much in control of most of that match, but Roman was definitely getting some hits in on him. He was definitely getting his blows in. So yeah, something akin to that. You feel me? So that's what I would want there. Now by season 3 and above, I have no idea for it. Those first 2 seasons is what I have fleshed out. Season 3, this is what I have. I want the next Street Fighter tournament, I want it to be the Gen Invitational. Gen, like I said, his thing is he wants to die in battle, and he loves fights. I want Gen to host a Street Fighter tournament, and whoever wins gets to fight him at the end. That's what I want to happen. And I want Sagat to win this one. I want Sagat to win this one. And yeah, I want Sagat to win this one. But I don't want him to fight Gen, because I don't want him or Gen to lose, honestly. I like Sagat keeping his momentum, and I like Gen still being this unbeatable force. You know what I'm saying? You know, just this legend of a fighter who barely loses. Right? So I want Sagat to make his way through there, and then I want Akuma to be like, nah, step aside, I'ma fight him. And I want Sagat to be like, who the fuck are you? And then I want Akuma to beat Sagat. And then I want him to step to Gen. And I want him and Gen to have a legendary fight. I want them to have a legendary fight where Gen is on life support. Doesn't die, but is on like, I think he actually does fight Akuma. He's like, yo, if I fight him again, I'm going to die. You know what I'm saying? So I want them to have a legendary fight. Right? I want that to happen. Now, also, somewhere throughout this, I want Bison to beat Guile again. Not in a tournament, but just in general. And this is when I want Rose to come about. Rose, in the continuity, is convoluted. I think she's supposed to be like a Bison clone, or like the good part of Bison's soul that he forsook, and like it manifested in another person. That shit's weird. I'd rather her just be the antithesis of him, just someone else who's aware of psycho power but uses his good counterpart and believes in the purity. I'd make her just her own person. I'd change that around. And I want her to be like, y'all have failed enough. I'm the only person who's equipped to stop him. And I want her to go try to stop Bison. And I want that to be something else, a super dope clash. And then maybe, I think to make it less corny of like a power of friendship thing, maybe Rose is the one who frees Cammy's conscience and makes her free, and lets her be her own person. And that's where she finds the team of, I think it's Alpha Flight and shit like that, and then let all that shit happen. So I want that to pan out in that season. I want seasons 3 or 4. I want that to be when we figure out that Blanka is the kid Jimmy, right? How we do that, I'm not sure how we're going to do that, but I do want that to be a thing. And beyond that, obviously introduce new characters. We can introduce Akan because him and E Honda are best friends, so just another character to throw into the mix. And then, yeah, bro, that's the only thing I really have from there. At what point, in the next season, I'm not sure what to do with Ryu. I'm not sure exactly what to do with Ryu. So I would say maybe in season 2, I have my idea of him going to meet Guy and everyone. And then maybe in season 3, I would say he loses to Ken. Or maybe he loses to Sagat. Maybe Sagat beats him and finally gets his win over Ryu. I don't know. But I don't want Ryu losing twice. I don't want Ryu losing twice in a row. But I don't want him winning the Gen Invitational thing. Because I want him... And I don't want him and Akuma's thing to intersect with the tournament. I want that to be separate. But I do want Akuma interacting with these other characters, if that makes sense. So I don't know what I would do with Ryu in that third in that third season. So I don't know. I'll figure that out too. But I think at the end of the third season is Goken reviving, and then we get him back into season 4 or something like that. And then that's actually when he comes back is in Street Fighter 4. And then I think if in season 3 or 4 is when we free Cammy, then I think we bring in Jury, because you can't bring in Jury until Cammy's free. Right? I don't think you can bring in Jury until Cammy's free. And then I would say that's when we get Seth and all the other shit. And then that's when we get Jury, Bison doing fucked up shit to Jury and shit like that. And then yeah. Now, let me know what y'all think, man. I'm not about to overview all this shit. If I do, I'll pop in a whole nother video. I'm not about to do it in this, like, sitting down right now. You'll probably see me in one of my house hoodies or some shit, you feel me? But yeah, man, it's just, like, the amount of fights, the stories you can tell. I might actually go and write this shit myself. I've never written a full story. I write monologues every now and then, inspired by Darth Maul. Too late for what? The Republic to fall? I'm not going to do the whole thing, but... yeah, inspired by Darth Maul, I write monologues every now and then. But I might write this whole story down, bro, and write dialogue and shit like that. But let me know if y'all rock with the outline of what I have and the ideas and this whole pitch that I have. And let me know, who would you want to animate it? I'm not well versed in anime at all, y'all. I've never seen... the only anime I've seen front to back is 91 Days. Shout out to my homie Ali. He gave me his Crunchyroll account and I told him I'd watch an anime of his choosing. But like Naruto, Dragon Ball, One Piece, Attack on Titan, I've seen none of them. I've seen none of them front to back, and I almost know... I know things about them, but as far as the story, plot twist, who lives, who dies, all this other shit. Like, I was watching Dragon Ball recently. I was like, this nigga Goku has a tail? I was like, what the fuck is this? I didn't know anything about that. But let me know, like, Who would y'all want to animate it? Would you want it to be an anime, like Japanese style cartoon? Would you want it to be the people from Invincible? Would you want it to be not necessarily Disney, but like a team like that, like in that style? Would you want it to be, you know what I'm saying? Like, how would you want this to be animated or presented? What kind of tones would you want it to be? Because that's something else. I also want it to be highlighted the different regions these people are from. Something I love about this Street Fighter 4, is I'm gonna put on the screen, is every character, their flag of where they're from being by them. I just always thought that was cool. Just like showing, yo, this person's from here, this person's from there, and shit like that. Oh, what time is it? Goddamn. Oh, it's 1:10 shit. Yeah, I do actually have to wrap this up because I got something to do. But yeah, bro, like let me know who y'all want to animate it, how you feel about my overall pitch. Because the beauty of Street Fighter, and I don't know if I said this an hour ago when I started this video, the beauty of it is because this story is so convoluted and it's not linear and there's so many alternative endings and all this shit loops around and different things, you have this beautiful privilege of you can take liberties. So a lot of shit I said in here is taking the important parts of the source material and of the things that are canon and then building the actual story around it and then seeing and then expanding on things that were not expanded on or not even talked about at all. You feel me? So yeah, bro, it has that beautiful privilege of you can do these things, and also the beautiful privilege of so many people don't know about these different things, and you can actually get some shock value out of some of this different shit. So yeah, man, like let me know if y'all are rocking with that. You feel me? Damn, it was something else I wanted to throw in. Yeah, well, fuck it. Like I said, I do have to go soon, but yeah, just let me know, bro, if y'all rocking with that shit, man. Hey, if anyone is watching this in these creative rooms, bro, yeah, look, you can get me on the internship. You don't gotta pay me. I just want to be a part of something great, for real. You know, y'all can pay me the minimum wage. Shit, I'm cool as long as I'm doing something I love. I'm fine with that. And yo, just somebody get this to somebody, man, and get this shit done, bro. I would love to see this shit done, like for real. I love Street Fighter, man. I really do. And also, well, I'll talk about that later. I'll pop back in. I was gonna say I can add some Street Fighter 6 characters in here. I would love to see Marissa versus some of these characters. And there's other characters, bro, like Oro. Once again, like I said, Guile. I don't know much about him. The half and half dude. I didn't even get to we could build on what's the black dude's name? This Ken's protege, Sean, and these different characters. Like, it's so many other characters, even like the joke characters, El Forte and shit like that. Oh, other thing I forgot to mention, real quick. When Sagat throws the fight against Dan genuinely believes he beat him, and he opens up a dojo. So that's why Dan's so like unfathomably confident, because he genuinely believes that he beat Sagat, one of the best fighters. And he opens his own dojo, and Sakura joins the dojo because he told her, he was like, oh yeah, I trained with Ryu and all those guys. I beat Sagat too, and all this other shit. So it's funny. You can add that in and have that being a little comic relief subplot too. But all right, I'm actually done now. I hope y'all enjoyed this. You know, it's a long video, but I'm not gonna have to edit it much because there's not much in here for me to edit from, for real. So, or take inspiration from. So yeah, bro. This is probably gonna be my favorite video ever made, man. Giving an actual pitch to something, you know, is super dope. So yeah, man. More videos on the way. This was the last of the bunch of things I had to record, so I don't know what's next or what's going to be on the way next. Maybe a season 2 of Invincible, or probably more sports content or something. But yeah, man, I'll catch y'all in the next joint, man.